Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osterberg501 and today I want to go over all of the currently known skills for the Barbarian in Diablo 4. And just like all the other classes in Diablo 4, the Barbarian skills are split into 6 different categories, but keep in mind you can use any combination of skills you want. So if you want to use 6 different abilities from the same category, you can do that. I'm just going to be going over these abilities in their specific categories to keep the video a bit more organized and make it easier to follow. And also keep in mind that this is not going to be all of the abilities when the game is fully released. Even looking at some of the screenshots of the skill pages, you can see some of them aren't filled in yet, so expect at least a handful of additional skills on launch. And the Barbarian's unique class mechanic is called Arsenal, which allows you to equip 2 different two-handed and 2 different one-handed weapons with the affixes applying from all 4 of those different weapons. So you can have 4 different weapons equipped at the same time. Now this also plays into a lot of the Barbarian skills because a lot of Barbarian skills actually require a specific weapon type to be used. So say one skill may require your dual wielding, one skill may require a two-handed mace, and there's said to be some way you can set different weapons to different skills, and when you're out in combat it will seamlessly switch to the weapon that needs to be used for that specific skill out of the ones you have equipped. So say if you have a skill that's dual wielding on one slot and a two-handed mace on second, use that first skill, it's going to use your dual wielding weapons. Use that second skill, it's going to instantly pull out that mace and use the mace for that ability. And to add on to that, the Barbarian skills are split into 2 different specializations, red or orange, red being warlords and orange being berserker. And those 2 different specializations kind of specialize on different elements of gameplay. So berserker would usually be for all-out damage and speed buffs, and the warlord may be more defensive abilities or tactical damage. And the 6 different categories for the Barbarian is basic, fury, defensive, brawling, weapon mastery, and ultimate. So first off, we have 4 abilities in the basic category, starting off with bash, which is a berserker skill. Generate 9 fury. Bash the enemy with your weapon dealing damage. Has a 20% chance to stun for 0.5 seconds. This requires a bludgeoning weapon, and this deals physical damage. Then we have a flay, which is a warlord ability. Generate 9 fury. Flay the enemy dealing damage and inflicting bleed over 6 seconds. This requires a slashing weapon, and this deals physical damage. Now I'm not sure if this is a mistake, but this ability also has the vulnerable tag applied to it, and when enemies are vulnerable they take 30% increased damage until all of their vulnerable life is removed. Then we have frenzy, which is a berserker ability. This generates 9 fury and unleash a rapid flurry of blows, dealing damage with each pair of hits. Your attack speed is increased by 20% for 3 seconds up to 60%, and this requires dual wielded weapons, and this deals physical damage. Next up we have lunging strike. This generates 9 fury. Lunge forward and strike an enemy for damage, and this deals physical damage. Next up we have 5 abilities in the fury category, starting off with a rend, which is a berserker skill. Has a 25 fury cost. Cleave enemies in front of you dealing damage and inflicting bleed over 5 seconds. This requires a slashing weapon, and this deals physical damage. Next we have Hammer of the Ancients. Has a fury cost of 20. Slam your hammer down with the Fury of the Ancients, dealing damage to a concentrated area. This requires a two-handed bludgeoning weapon, and this deals physical damage. Next up we have a double swing, 25 fury cost. Sweep your weapons from opposite directions, dealing damage with each weapon. Enemies caught in the center are hit by both. This requires dual wielded weapons, and this deals physical damage. Then we have Upheaval, a berserker skill. Has a 30 fury cost. Tear into the ground with your weapon and fling debris forward, dealing damage. This requires a two-handed weapon, and this deals physical damage. Then finally we have Whirlwind, fury cost of 5 per second, and rapidly attack nearby enemies for damage. This deals physical damage. Next, we have 4 abilities in the defensive category, starting with Rallying Cry, which is a shout, generates 18 fury, cooldown of 20 seconds, bellow a Rallying Cry, granting all allies unstoppable, 23% increased movement speed, and 23% reduced damage for 6 seconds. This deals physical damage, and Unstoppable removes and prevents any crowd control. Next, we have Ground Stomp, a berserker ability, generates 6 fury, cooldown of 15 seconds, smash the ground, stunning nearby enemies for 4 seconds. seconds. This deals physical damage. Then we have Undying Rage, a Warlord ability. This is a passive only ability. When you take fatal damage, you have 5 seconds to fight for your life before you die. Killing an enemy in time will revive and heal you. This effect can only occur once every 2.9 minutes. Then finally, we have Challenging Shout, another shout. Cooldown of 25 seconds. Fortify yourself for damage and taunt nearby enemies for 8 seconds. During this time, you generate 5 additional fury when hit, and Fortified makes you take 30% reduced damage until all of your fortified life is removed. Next up, we have 4 abilities in the Brawling category, starting with Kick, which is a Berserker ability, has a recharge of 20 seconds, kick an enemy for damage and knock them backwards. On collision, enemies in the area take an additional amount of damage. This deals physical damage. Next, we have Warcry, another shout, generate 11 fury, a cooldown of 25 seconds, bellow a mighty Warcry, you and your allies deal increased damage per nearby enemy for 10 seconds, up to 50%. Then we have Leap, a Berserker ability, cooldown of 15 seconds, leap forward and slam downward, dealing damage on impact. This deals physical damage. Then finally we have Charge, another Berserker ability, rush forward and push enemies with you, then swing through them for damage, and this deals physical damage. Next up, we have 3 abilities in the Weapon Mastery category, starting with Primal Axe, a Berserker ability, has a recharge of 20 seconds, throw your weapon with a chain attached, dealing damage and pulling in enemies. This deals physical damage. Then we have a Rupture, another Berserker ability, has a cooldown of 10 seconds, skewer enemies in a line, inflicting bleeding over 3 seconds. If an enemy dies while bleeding, the cooldown is reset, and this requires a 2-handed slashing weapon, and this deals physical damage. Then finally, we have Death Blow, a Warlord ability, has a cooldown of 15 seconds, attempt a killing strike, dealing damage to enemies in front of you. If this kills an enemy, the cooldown is reset, and this requires a 2-handed slashing weapon, and this deals physical damage. And then finally, we have 3 skills in the Ultimate category, starting off with Wrath of the Berserker, a Berserker ability. You generate 30 fury with a cooldown of 60 seconds, go berserk for 15 seconds. Every 20 fury you spend increases the effects by 65%, and the berserking effect is increases your damage by 25% and your movement speed by 30%. Then we have Call of the Ancients, an ancient ability, has a cooldown of 75 seconds. Call upon the ancients to aid you in battle for 12 seconds, and this deals physical damage. Then finally, we have Iron Maelstrom, a Warlord ability, a cooldown of 50 seconds, whirl your enemy around on a chain, continually dealing damage, and this requires a 2-handed weapon, and this deals physical damage. So that is all of the abilities I could find for the Barbarian of Diablo 4, and like I mentioned, there are abilities we don't know of, and also we really haven't heard or seen anything new from the Barbarian since the game was pretty much first announced, so I could definitely see a lot of these abilities being changed in some way. And with how the arsenal system of the Barbarian works, with different skills requiring different weapons, this is a class that I could see a lot of the abilities being changed or tweaked in some way, because there's a lot of ways they could go about changing these Barbarian abilities. They could change the weapon it requires and just make it a little bit different of a skill. They could change the category the skill's in, like Berserking, Warlord. So there's a lot of stuff that could change, and a lot of these skills were very early versions shown off, and it does also seem some of the tooltips may be slightly broken, but I'm still very interested to see a more updated look at the Barbarian, because I do like the arsenal system of this class in general and how it ties in to all of the different abilities you have. I like having 4 different weapons that you just switch between depending on which weapons you're using, and having different skills requiring specific different weapons. I think it can add a ton of customization to this class. But that's pretty much all I want to go over for the skills for the Barbarian. So subscribe if you want to see more Diablo 4 or other videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Comment down below what you guys think about the Barbarian's abilities, and thanks for watching.